Yes, I know there's football games today. Yes, I know Indiana played last night against another top 10 team. But I chose baseball. So we're going to talk about judgment calls and part one, because just this whole concept of judgment calls is giant. The Bible hits it very hard when it talks about our life here on the planet. And so we're going to talk about it this week and next week. And a judgment call is one where you don't know exactly what's going on. You have no data. It's not like you have the instant replay like this guy probably had. And you don't know whether he's safe or out really. The umpire's on it. But he doesn't know for sure. Right hand is on the base. Left hand's getting tagged out. Which one got there first? He doesn't know. So he makes a call. He makes a judgment call. And that's what kind of, that's the metaphor for us, for life, for decision making, especially when it comes to human relationships. Nobody has access to full knowledge. Nobody has access to full knowledge of themselves or the person they're talking to. And so every call we make is a judgment call. It's just a call. And it reveals more about ourselves than it does the call that we're making. So when I'm looking for an ideal judge to make a judgment call, this is me. I want someone who prioritizes the game. I was going to say loves the game, but they don't all love the game. But they prioritize it. They're not going to make calls outside the game. The game is the most important thing. They have to be a rules expert. They have to know exactly what the rules are for the game, because they're calling the game. They're judging the game. They have to anticipate the action, meaning that they're not surprised. They know the flow of the object of the game. They know how the players react to the game. And so they're able to anticipate and what's going on inside the game, so they're not surprised, so they can truly judge what's happening in the game. No mercy. You foul somebody in a game, you are called for a penalty. That's how I like it. That's what I want. No forgiveness. Like, sorry, dude. If I don't want the referee stepping in and saying, I know you dropped that ball on that play, but it's cool. We're going to count it as a touchdown anyway. I forgive you. It's like, no, it's stupid. And no favorites, please. No favorites. Unless you're betting on a referee, unless the referee's betting, then of course he's going to play the line. You know what I mean? That's what I want from a referee. Today when I turn on the football game, I don't want the refs messing around. I want them to be ruthless, heartless, and I want them to be strict in accord with the rules of the football game. And you can already start to see the difference between that and Christianity, but that's next week. Who doesn't know anything about baseball? Okay. Baseball's a game where you have a guy who has a ball. He throws the ball. There's a guy called a batter. He has a stick. He tries to hit the ball. That's all you really need to know. In baseball, what happens is if a guy's really good at throwing the ball, he gets people out and they win the game. Sometimes one of the most rare occurrences is when a baseball pitcher, the guy who throws the ball, will have a perfect game. There have only been 24 recorded perfect games in the history of baseball. 24. Hundreds of thousands of games have been played. If you count all the other leagues that they keep stats on, near 250,000 games. And only 24 times has a perfect game occurred. We're going to watch a perfect game. We are going to watch the last pitch of the perfect game. And so, enjoy.
Ground ball, right side. Cabrera will cut it off. Got Ryan Hurst. He left. Oh, he's safe. He is safe. He is safe at first base. And here comes Jim Leland. Oh, my goodness. Jim Joyce.
You make the call. Dude never pitched in a World Series, 27 years old, worked his whole life for a moment, was about to do something that doesn't occur except for 0.00096 of the time you're going to see a perfect game. None of them will ever see a perfect game. The chance to get to playing a perfect game is the chance to be able to pitch a perfect game. It just doesn't happen. And the guy made a bad call. That's what a human thing is. He made a bad call. It was his perception from where he stood, he was out, or he was safe. And he made the wrong call. And it cost everybody there. And there's no going back. You can't retract it. They didn't have video then. Now we have a godlike creature called video, and they make the call. But that's what we do as humans. That's what we do. Not all the time, but we make a lot of decisions every day. And that's the number for perfect games. This is the number for you today. 1 out of 8 billion. Point, a lot of zeros. 12.5. This is the chance that today, the percentage, the chance that today someone is born that's exactly like you physically. And there's really no chance. It should be 0 because they don't have your parents, but we're going to play the stats game anyway. And that doesn't include emotions. That doesn't include mental things, likes, dislikes, environment, all that stuff. This is you. You are so 100% unique. There is nobody that can have your thoughts. There is nobody that can see what you see. You are 100% unique to this planet. Just today. I won't even talk about before and after. Today. Nobody can talk or think the way you do. And even in spite of that, and nobody else, it's for me, but it's for everybody else that I meet. Nobody that I meet in this room will be exactly like me. Nobody that I meet out in Sellersburg will be exactly like me, and I won't be like them. Even though that happens, you're still going to get judged. Even though we're all 100% unique, and we're all 100% different. And we have some likes and dislikes that are similar. Someone's not going to like the music you play. Someone's not going to like the clothes you wear. Someone's not going to like the food you like. Someone's not going to vote the same way you do. Someone's not going to, it just goes on and on and on. And there's a tendency inside of humans to think like they have to make a call. Like I have to call this out. I have to be the umpire. I don't have total knowledge of myself. I don't have total knowledge of them, but I know I don't like their music. And I'm going to let them know. Whether by banning it in a church or whether by physically getting in front of them and telling them. I'm going to tell them what's wrong. You look wrong. You're overweight. You don't look like the magazines and the TVs that I'm so addicted to. And you can't stop that. You can't stop people judging you. That's how we're made. And it's part of the emptiness that we have because of the fall. But what you can control and what you can do is don't judge others. This is what Jesus said. One of the cool things he said about it, Matthew 7. It's on your sheet. Do not judge others. Do not. It says the standard you use will be the standard used against you when you face God. Meaning, you can't judge unless in your mind you already have a measurement a standard of measure by which you can tell people that they're good or bad. You have to carry that around with you. And you have to say, okay, based on my measurement, I have to tell you you're bad. And they feel the right to tell other people that they're wrong. And they use a standard that usually you can find in the media somewhere. They're addicted to television. They're addicted to magazines. They're addicted to radio. And so they make their lives trying to fulfill and be accepted by the media. Or by the group. It's group thought, herd mentality. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. It's what Jesus says right after that. It's the log. And this is one more log out. He says, you have a log in your eye and you're trying to help a dude with a splinter. And this one's a guy with a stump telling the guy who has a log that he's wrong for making the guy with the splinter. And it goes on and on and on, of course. I don't know until you get to redwoods, I guess. But it's that whole thought that somehow we can help you be better. And there is a place for that, but it's not in your, until you know them. A lot of times people say, I can help you be better. What they mean is, I can help you be like me. Don't need that. Don't want that. Don't care about that. Don't want to be like you. Really don't. You're amazing. You dress amazing. You listen to perfect music. You look beautiful. You're all great. God, I wish I was you. No. That's what judgment is. Slowly but surely over the course of time, people start looking like zombies. James says, God alone, who gave the law, is the judge. He alone has the power to save or destroy. So what right do you have to judge your neighbor? And it's an open question. If you know, you can tell me. I know the golden rule on the world, right, is the one with the most gold rules. But the other rule is you serve. Serving is not judging. Only God can judge you. Only God can judge other people. That's kind of the key. Paul went so far as to say, as for me, it matters very little how I might be judged by you or by any human authority. I don't even judge myself. Those voices that plague you in your head that say you're not good, you're not valuable, you don't fit in, you're broken, you must try harder. Or the other ones that tell you you're beautiful, you fit in, you look right, man, you got it going on. They're both lying to you. There's no standard. God's the judge. Let God tell you. They're both lies. They're both lies. But there is a place where we have to judge. There is a time when we have to use our brain. And this is from 1984. I'm sure y'all know it, or some. 2 + 2 = 5. Right? That's the perfect symbol for our world today. They're going to get on TV and they're going to tell you 2 + 2 = 5. And you're going to go, no, it doesn't equal 5. And they're going to report, yes, 2 + 2 = 5. We've written shows about it. We have philosophers who agree with it. We have experts who are going to argue it. We're going to meet on college campuses and we're going to argue about it. And 2 + 2 = 5. And unfortunately, for a large part of the population, they'll start to believe it after saturation. After you just keep saying it over and over and over. I won't do another one again. 2 + 2 will be 5. Nobody will care. And they'll take the most ridiculous statements and turn it into 2 + 2 = 5. So you have to think. You have to judge. You have to judge. But Jesus said, this is his second cool thing he said, stop judging by outward appearance and start judging justly. And I don't know if he said judging justly, but it's a cool alliteration. Judging justly is to go away from outward appearance. Really to go away from 2 + 2 = 5. It's not worth arguing about. Music, it's not worth arguing about. I've seen churches divide over music. Clothes, it's not worth arguing about. There's something besides outward appearance that Jesus seems to think that we can judge by. So I'm going to tell you a story about George. George is a normal dude. And if you look real closely at the picture, you can see us in the future sitting in the stands behind him, watching him. He's a Roman soldier. He's from Cappadocia. And my pronunciation and all that. You can read about Cappadocia in Pentecost. That was represented when the Holy Spirit came down on the church. And probably got baptized. This is a couple hundred years before George. Probably went back to Cappadocia. Probably got into his family because George believed in Jesus. He was a Roman soldier, believed in Jesus. It's about 303 AD. And what happens was, though, Diocletian, something like that, the emperor? I'll call him Dio. Emperor Dio decided he wanted a one religion inside of Rome. What the emperor wants, the emperor gets. Christianity was not going to be that religion. So he decided to pass laws and to set up situations where Christianity would come under some kind of assault by the government officials. They're going to be hurt. And so George was a leader, had gotten accolades for being a Roman soldier. And so what happened was, he was sent to a city with his soldiers to take care of the Christians, but he believed in Jesus. So what George did was sold all of his stuff, and he went before the leaders of Rome, the emperor, and he said, I can't do this. I believe in Jesus. So within the week, he was dead. First, he was tortured as a message, and then beheaded. That's what happened to George. So, of course, they started telling stories about him. You know, this is bravery, this is that. It got into the hands of an artist, and the artist came up with this. It's St. George Slays the Dragon, which there are a boatload of statues, and there are a boatload of paintings, and there's a ton of writing, all with this motif. And this is a biblical motif. If you don't understand what's going on here in terms of reality, because you ask yourself, is this more real or is that more real? See, to understand what Jesus said about judging justly, you have to know that's more real. That's more real. George didn't lose when he was killed. George won. He gave his life rather than lie. He could have gotten by. He was a leader. He didn't have to physically put his hands on people to assault them, but he was part of the supply chain. Couldn't do it. This is a victory. He won. George slayed the dragon. And you have to understand the literary device as a dragon. It's also a cultural device representing evil. Happened in the garden. There was a snake. Happened in Revelation. There's dragons running all over the place in Revelation. So they knew exactly what they were talking about with the Bible. St. George slew the dragon. He won. Just when we say Jesus' victory is on the cross, he died for the real life. He wasn't going to be he made the right judgment call. I can't do this. And then when you think of a dragon, you think of a judgment call, you realize it's in your head. These opportunities. They're thoughts that you play with. Where you stand up for Jesus. You make decisions based on your belief in Jesus. And this is what it looks like. This is reality. Not, the fact sheet is great. That's outward appearance. Go George. Do your thing. But underneath that, what's really going on in this world is this. In your life, this is really what's going on. See, Paul said this. Paul said this in Ephesians. He said, we're not fighting against each other. We're not fighting against each other. We're fighting against evil rulers in the unseen world. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? We fight against mighty powers in this dark world. And I know we believe that because we're going to vote for one of them coming up here in a few months. They take my money whenever they can. And they cause divisiveness. And they rule the channels that flood our minds. And evil spirits in heavenly places. That's who we're fighting against. Dragons. Dragons who try to control our thoughts. Dragons who try to control our relationships. Dragons who give us value standards based on money and based on false identities and false value. See, because George won when he died. Which is exactly, his fear of death was gone. His fear of death wasn't as great as his fear of being a hypocrite. Saying one thing and doing another. That's who George was. And we all have dragons. We all have dragons. We all have thoughts in our head that are going to push us away from following Jesus. We're going to follow the world. We're going to dress like the world. We're going to let the dragons dress us. Hey, Mommy Dragon, what should I wear today? Hey, Mommy Dragon, how should I talk? Hey, Mommy Dragon, what music should I listen to? Please tell me. I can't think for myself. The kids are really mean to me in the sandbox. How can I best satisfy you, Mommy Dragon? And then if we don't, we're bad. Mommy Dragon, I'm sorry, I upset you. I went out today and I didn't look like every other kid there. I didn't speak like every other kid in the playground. I didn't believe all the things they said. My value system is way different. This Jesus must be wrong. What does it mean in order to find your life, you must lose it? Jesus must have been crazy because the dragon is my friend. The dragon and its absolute homogenization of the human experience, that's what I want. I don't want to rankle anybody's feathers. That's what the voice inside your head is. It's asking you, pleading with you, begging with you, don't follow Jesus. I mean, show up to church. We don't want to go too far, you go to church, tell people you believe in Jesus, but don't base your life on what Jesus did. There's no evil spirits. There's no unseen spirits. It's all about me. It's all about me. What I want, what I see, what I do. It doesn't matter, Jesus said he was a servant. I'm not a servant. I get served. It doesn't matter that Jesus died on the cross for me. That doesn't mean I die on a cross. He died on the cross for me because I'm so good and valuable. That's what the dragon's going to tell you. Did God say that? No. It's silly. The world's standards and the world's values, the more whoever dies with the most toys wins. And it gets in there if you do something wrong. The dragon's going to identify you as what you did wrong. Your mistakes haunt you. That's what the dragon does. And we all have it. And because we're 0.00000, I know you got it too. And you know I got it too. We don't share with each other, and we don't want to. But we know that you got it. You can lie all you want. But everybody knows, following Jesus, that you got it. It's part of the package. Can't fool anybody. I don't care how you look. I don't care how good you are at talking or singing or dancing or whatever. It doesn't matter. You got the dragon. You got the dragon, and the dragon is not part of this. Dragon is this world. Jesus is not part of the world. My kingdom is not part of the world. It's a judgment call. See, you're never the umpire. Ever the umpire. You're the player. You're not designed to be an umpire. That's why Paul said, I don't even judge myself. Because any kind of judgment, I'm going astray. I was not designed to judge. I don't have the capacity to know the world so well that I can make those calls. Just don't have it. I can fool myself and say I do, and I am called to make judgments in situations. But the reality is, when it comes to the value in God's eyes, or calling somebody or naming them something, naming yourself something, let Jesus name you. God said he loved you so much, he sent his only son to die for you. That's the value you want. And that's why Paul said, after he said that, I don't care about any of that. What did you say? He also said, I just press forward. Judging is a waste of time. And it doesn't always work out well, and it's not always beautiful, and it's not always pretty. But Jesus is. This is our life. And I don't know if that dude's going up or down, but his friends are there to help him. His friends are ready and waiting. His family is ready and waiting. His Christian brothers and sisters are ready and waiting. Because that's what life is. It's a walk through the valley of darkness. It's climbing God's mountain. It's no time for judgment calls. Dude needs help. Dude needs somebody by him. You know the story where the friends lowered the one guy, sick guy, through the roof. It's like they can't get in. They're too crushed. Can't get to Jesus. It's like, yeah, really? You know, hold my beer. We're taking my friend in. I'm cutting a hole in the roof. I don't care. That's what it's like. I don't care what the world says. I don't care what the TV says. I don't care what the radio says. I don't care what the catalogs tell me I'm supposed to wear. I'm following Jesus. I'm giving my life because I know it's a fight against the dragon. When Jesus says, don't look at the outward appearance, he means people are fighting the dragon. People are fighting the dragon. Don't get hung up. Don't get lost. You're fighting the dragon. Don't get lost. Don't get hung up on outward appearances. Or you're failing. You're failing. So until we meet again, I was going to put a picture of a dragon there, but I figured that's probably too much. So I have these two cute little kids walking along. But my prayer for you is what Jesus said. Don't get hung up on outward appearances. Judge justly. Know that everybody is in a fight with the dragon. Know that this world is controlled by dragons and unseen powers, mighty powers that you can't see, and evil spirits in heavenly places. Please explain that to me. I don't know. All I know is that they're opposed to humanity, and they're opposed to love and service. So until we meet again, I pray that those thoughts haunt you.